There's a lot of talk out there right now, Podsters, around mindset and manifestation and leaving things behind and how you're showing up and the power of your vision. And I I'm here for all of it. What I'm not here for is the struggle. And the struggle of spinning your wheels over and over and over again, trying to get yourself to this higher being that you know you are and that you know you are meant to be. We all know there's a best version of ourselves. And in this episode today, you will get the tactical tools from an expert, a subconscious mindset expert on how to get your subconscious mind to do the work for you. Because Podsters, it is not meant to be hard. Life is not meant to be a struggle. And my guest, Brenda Johnston, and I, we drill it down because you know what? We know we've experienced it. We love it. And we are here to share the secret with you today. This one's a game changer, and you might want to play it more than one time. And I know you're going to want to share it. So buckle up and let's do it. Welcome back, Pods. This is it. This is the day. This is the day. This is the episode. This is the person. We have Ms. Brenda Johnston, who is back. FYI, heads up, I had Brenda on the show in 2023. It was the #1 most listened to show, probably because I girl crush on Brenda like every episode. People are probably like, who is this woman? I need to go listen to her. So she's back. And Brenda, say hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. It kind of blows my mind sometimes when you're like, it was the #1 episode. I'm like, that just warms my heart. Like
I have to tell you, it crept up slowly. And then just today I went to look, I was looking at something and I'm like, oh my God, it's #1, which I am thrilled about. Also mildly irritated because shouldn't people be listening to my episode? I don't know. But anyway, I'm not mildly irritated. It's all good. It's because it's pure gold. So with that, we are going to get into it. So Brenda, tell everybody what you do.
So I am a subconscious mindset strategist. And I know some people might hear that and go, what is that?
Right.
I help people learn how to work with their subconscious mind and get to the root issue of things so that on a conscious level, they can take action, bust through plateaus, work with their subconscious and make more damn money. Because anybody who tells me they don't actually want to make more money, sure you don't.
Make more money, leave the job, leave the marriage. You know what?
Be seen.
Be seen. Yeah, the reason why I say the marriage Podsters is because we were just talking about that. Well, here's what's interesting. So Brenda and I did a session together. Well, let me back up a minute. The reason why I wanted to bring Brenda back in January is because we all have the new year, new me energy going on, which is great. I like to operate at that level all year, but for some people, it's peaks in January. So with the new year, new me, Brenda and I share a lot of similar views, such as you cannot say, I am going to manifest this life and then sit on the couch and wait for it to happen. Views like fake it till you make it. No.
Nope.
So what Brenda taught me a long time ago that I really stuck with me is you can't do things like that. You can't say, I'm going to write a best-selling book because your subconscious mind, and jump in here if I'm wrong, Brenda, will say, no, you're not. You're not the type of person that writes a best-selling book. So you need to change the way you're saying it. You need to change the way you're thinking it. The best way to do that is through your subconscious mind and let your subconscious mind do the work for you. Can I get a hallelujah, Brenda?
Hallelujah. And also,
Yeah.
I'm a subconscious mindset strategist, but I also like to say I'm an energy mentor because what people don't understand is our energy speaks before our mouth even opens.
Word.
So if you're telling yourself you're going to write this book, but your belief is that that's not possible for you, the energy you're sending out into the world, and this isn't woo, it's science. We send out vibes come back, whatever you want to call it. If that is not a match to what you're trying to create, people can feel that. And any of you listening to this going, well, that sounds a little like woo. Have you ever walked into a room and there was a person in the room and you were like, whoa, and you just needed to get away from them?
Yeah.
That's energy. Their energy and your energy they're not mixing. And I see this so much, especially with entrepreneurs who are putting offers out there and they're just doing it in a state of like, I need to make more money or I need to do this. Nobody buys the offer.
Yeah.
Because you can feel the gross energy behind it, and shit's not clear. And even in the business world, I've had people say they want a promotion and then they start doing the things, but deep down their subconscious doesn't want the promotion because it's going to take up more time. They're not going to see their family as much. So this is where the subconscious strategies come in, and it's like, okay, well, what is the belief here that needs to shift or move? Women who come to me like, oh, well, I could never make as much money as my husband, partner, whatever. What? Why? Where's that belief come from? So that's why I'm kind of obsessed with the subconscious mind.
And I'm obsessed that you're obsessed because I appreciate your obsession, because my life is different after working with you, talking to you, getting to know you, listening to your podcast. It is. So I want you to talk a little bit about, so you left your corporate job, just kind of really quickly, your path to get where you are, because I think it's important for particularly all you corporate podsters who are like, I don't know if I'm going to listen to this episode because I don't really need to get in the whole universe thing and the woo thing. It's not woo, it's science. And Brenda comes from corporate. So tell us what you did then and how you got to where you are.
So I actually worked in marketing and advertising for 24 years. So I worked agency side. I also worked in-house marketing, like in-house marketing. That came out of my mouth wrong. And it was interesting because even in those roles, it was always about human behavior, because when you're in marketing, it's about how do you get people to buy the things, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I feel like it was a natural kind of transition. But also, as I explained in the little mini episode we did, I started doing personal training as a side hustle, realized that people really needed the internal stuff. So I went back to school, became a nutritional therapist, became obsessed with the mind-gut connection, studied hypnosis, human behavior, cognitive behavior, all these things. And that's how this all came about. But then I had people in corporate, like executives, asking me if I could help them overcome confidence issues and all of these things. And I was like, yes, I can help you with that. And that's when I realized, one, how freaking good I am at it. And two, how much I loved doing it. I have a client, she's one of my one-on-one clients. She's been with me for 4 years, not because you have to work with me for 4 years, because every freaking year she up levels in her corporate job. And now it's become, what can I do now? And so with her, she started as like not an executive. And she's like, I can't even imagine being an executive because I haven't been a manager and I haven't done this. I'm like, what would it look like and feel like for you to be able to do that? And so we started visualizing it and getting to the root of why she didn't believe it was possible for her, because nobody in her family had ever been an executive. And people kept telling her it wasn't possible. And people kept telling her she should be grateful for just having a job. And that face you just made was the same face that I was making, because I was like, it's okay to give yourself permission to want more. That is not selfish. And that was a belief I had to work through when I hired my coach, when I was building out my business and still working full time, was it's okay for me to want more for myself. That there's nothing wrong. It's okay to want to make a shit ton of money, because the more money I make, the more I can give back and the more opportunities I have. It's money actually has no meaning except the meaning we give it to, give to it.
Right.
So I went on a bit of a rant there, but it's important for us to understand it's okay to want more for ourselves, but we have to get to the bottom of the beliefs that are preventing us from believing that.
I love it. And I want to get to, so Brenda insisted that before she came back on this episode again, that I do a session with her.
You know why? Because I'm not a typical mindset coach. So I need you to understand.
Correct. Yes. Well, yes. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, because the whole thing, not only was it hilarious and powerful, it was hilarious. I just want to tell the story about it because I just think it was really funny how it went down. But so talk to me about trapped emotional energy, because I think that's a lot of what happened in our session.
Yeah. So typically what happens is when we have an emotion, we process it and we release it. But at various points in our lifetime, you might be having an emotion and something happens that prevents the release from it. You don't process it. And our body stores this trapped emotional energy. We don't need to know where it's stored. You just need to know that we all have thousands of trapped emotional things, okay? And you don't need to release them all. That's bullshit too. And so when we started asking questions to get to the root of things, it was clear to me that with you, there was probably some trapped emotional energy related to a past thing.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what the past thing is
Yep.
for us to be able to deal with it. I connected you to your subconscious mind so you could get answers. And you do this through, we call it muscle testing or whatever you want to call it. And so you essentially were in a state of relaxation talking to your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was telling us what was trapped. So I have a protocol that I follow. I'm asking very specific questions and it leads to the answer. And then we go, okay, cool. Do we need to know more about this emotion? Your body was like, nope. Cool. Let's deal with it. And we deal with it using Chinese medicine, which again, not woo. And we're using a meridian that
Yep.
runs basically from underneath your nose all the way to the back of your spine. Unless you are Gumby, your arm doesn't reach that far. So we just use a piece of this meridian that helps us release the trapped emotions. But we also were connecting you to a part of yourself, which you were surprised.
Very, very.
Came out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just talk about it because let's just talk about it. So what happened, Podsters, was before Brenda would come back on again, she insisted that we do a session. I'm only kidding. What she said was, I really want to do a session with you because we can't really talk about what I do unless you experience it. And I thought I knew what she did, and I did not. So picture me in Naples, Florida. I was, having a grand old time. And I'm like, so Brenda, because I'm always, I'm like, what's the goal of this meeting? What do we want to achieve? And Brenda is all like, we want to achieve whatever you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve? What, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, can I do it on the beach? And she's like, well, can you be clear on the beach? Can you speak freely? Can you be openly? So she got me into a state where I'm like, all right, all right, all right. I'm going to have to be I need to be crystal clear. There needs to be no one around. So I did not do it on the beach because quite frankly, she scared me because I was afraid I would lose Wi-Fi and she would be upset with me. So through a series of, so here's how I would describe it. So I didn't have my only goal was, I think I wanted to be a little less stressed out. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted peace in the house is what came up.
Oh, shalom bayit. It is yes, it's a Yiddish expression. Peace in the house. Yep.
Which is what that part of you essentially wants. So we'll talk about that. You keep going.
Yeah. So what I wanted was, I wanted peace and calm I wanted peace and calm. And on this particular day, I remember why I wanted it in my home life. By the way, crazy about my husband. He's the best. And I wanted less friction about a particular matter at home. Okay. So Brenda asked me a series of questions, and I believe that you got me to tap into my subconscious mind and get to the root of, I might get emotional here, guys, because this blew me away in a million years. I never would have thought this. At the end of the day, my subconscious mind was doing what it was doing, or I was acting the way I was acting because I wanted to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew me away. In a million years, I never would have thought that. That is how buried it was. That's how, and I know why, and I know why, and I get it. that is how trapped it was, or buried, or whatever you want to say. And I'm going to have Brenda talk about it in a second. Never in 1,000 years would I have thought that. And the more I thought about it in the days afterwards, the more it made so much sense. I never would have come up with it on my own, ever, ever. I also know why I wouldn't have ever come up with it on my own. But my point is, it was so deep in there. So then after the session, I don't know if I told you this, Brenda, I had this conversation with my husband, and I said, this was really an epiphany. This is why I do what I do, or this is why I act like this when this happens. And I think it's important for you to know that, where it's coming from.
You
Because
didn't tell me that. That's an
I
amazing.
didn't. Oh yeah. I didn't even know that. And so, Podster, stay with us, because we're gonna tie this back to your career and all the other things. So, all right, Brenda, I just totally like vomited because this was so wild. I never in a million years would have guessed that. So,
But it is wild because we connected to this part of you that was behaving in certain ways, and our parts there's a positive intention to all the parts we have. And so we were getting to the bottom of what that part wanted. And yes, it was about being safe, but the core desire was that it wanted peace. And so it's like, when you get to the core desire of what a part wants, you can integrate that, and that peace, the inner peace, becomes available to all of you. And then the part gets integrated, and then you start behaving in different ways. You create new habits. You have different conversations like the one you had with your husband. And it's like, I always say to people, the deep inner work doesn't need to be hard and take forever. I don't know about you, but I make meditations and hypnosis, and I don't want to be sitting around for 30 minutes a day doing that.
right.
This is about getting to the root of the thing and then being able to transform it basically on the spot.
Right.
It's like, nobody's got time to be journaling for 2 hours a day, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, in the end result, the result is, yes, I had this conversation, and also it's gone now. It's gone. It's gone. Like I don't feel the need to be safe anymore, because I feel safe.
Because you fully believe that you are safe.
Right.
And was it hard? Was it hard what we did?
No, nope. It was uncomfortable, the session. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that's what I say to people. It can be uncomfortable, but I'm not going to leave you in the shit.
Right.
Whereas I've had a lot of talk therapy, and there's a time and a place for it, but I felt like they would take me backwards constantly and leave me in the shit. And reanalyzing the things, I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be present so that I can move forward. I want the tools so that I can move forward.
Right. And then the other thing that was really cool. So I think, I don't remember when I asked you this. I said, so when am I going to know if it worked, or something like that? Right. You know me, right? Well,
everybody asks that.
What's the ROI, and when can I expect results for that? And Brenda very kindly said, there's not going to be an epiphany. You're not going to wake up one day and be like, it worked. You're going to feel differently. And then I realized, like, maybe a week later or 2 weeks later, I spent probably 2/3 of 2023 stressed out. I mean, really just operating at a vibration that was like it can't be sustained. Couldn't be. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm not stressed anymore. Like, I feel like myself again. I didn't know I didn't feel like myself, because I was so stressed for so long that that's who I thought I was. And I was able to get back to myself. And I didn't know I'd left myself. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Can we add to that? Because that's what happens, especially when I was in corporate. I didn't recognize that I wasn't feeling it myself, because I was in this like fog of overwhelm and burnout, and I didn't even recognize it. 90% of the women who come to work with me, and I work with men too, it's 90% women, they can't even tell me what makes them happy.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Yes. Yep.
And like, it's crazy. And so when you get to the bottom of what are the beliefs preventing you from doing that, woo, life changing.
Life changing. So what you did with me, the exercise you did with me, by the way, Podsters, it was like an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Do you do that? Is that something you do with your one-on-one clients? Is that something that you do on demand? Like what, tell me how that fits into how you work with people.
So we did something special with you. Typically, I wouldn't do like a 60-minute thing with somebody that I
Right.
didn't know,
Right.
just because it's hard to kind of get to the bottom of things and give them what they need because it takes time. So I have a 90-minute power session that I will do with people, but the majority of people work with me in my 3-month kind of coaching mentorship program, because that's where you get
Yeah.
the game changing
Yeah.
shit happening, because you're with me every week for 60 minutes. And then once you've done that, then I have people who either continue to do that or they'll start doing like a 90-minute power session like once a month.
Yep.
But I do have some people who book in with me to do the 90-minute because they just want to experience what it's like. And then typically they end up working with me for the 3 months.
Yeah, I could see why. I could definitely see why. It's really hard to explain, Podster. So it's like removing everything that's blocking you from your best self that you don't even know is blocking you from your best self. That's how I would
Yeah.
describe it.
We're reintroducing you to your best self.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you can start to create the habits and do the things that she would be doing, instead of second guessing yourself and feeling like you're overwhelmed and you're people pleasing and doing all the things for everybody else. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't
Yep.
have to work like that.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Okay. Did you want to add anything else about that?
No, I think that was I loved actually hearing and I know we've talked about it, but I like hearing your perspective of what it felt like.
That was great. It's great.
Cool.
It's funny because I forgot about the whole piece in the house. I forgot. I either forgot or I repressed it, but whatever. That's a whole
But
nother thing.
that's the thing too, is once it's available to you, you don't need to
You're
be
done.
thinking about it all the time.
Right.
If you're constantly analyzing the thing, looking for the thing, you're going to slow down your own progress because you're creating blocks, because you're looking for what's not working. Or has it worked yet? It's like, no, just trust the process and trust yourself. You don't need to be thinking about peace in the house because you're living it.
Right. Because you're experiencing the peace in the house. Yep. Yep. Totally. Totally. All right. So let's talk about, because it's new year, new me energy, stories and beliefs that are holding people back. Well, I was going to ask you, what's the most common limiting
Oh, I'm
belief?
going to tell you. Can I tell you what the most common one is?
Yeah, go. Okay. Yeah, go.
It has to be hard.
I love this. I love this. Yeah. Yep.
Losing weight has to
So
be hard. Getting healthy has to be hard. Making money has to be hard. Because we've been taught our whole entire lives that it has to be hard.
changing careers has to be hard. Doing the thing has to be hard. Nope.
No, it doesn't. But if you believe it has to be hard, guess what shows up in your life?
Hard.
Proof and evidence that it has to be hard, because your subconscious mind, I love our subconscious minds. It loves clarity and it loves clear direction.
Right.
And it's very literal. So if you're constantly looking for what isn't working, your subconscious mind's going to be like, this isn't working. That's not working. That over there is not working. It's going to give you the proof and evidence you're looking for.
Why you
Ask
can't.
better questions, get better answers. Instead of being like, oh, what's the worst thing that could happen? I started saying, what's the best possible thing that could happen?
Yep.
And new possibilities and opportunities start showing up.
Yep. Yep. Words matter.
Oh,
Words
God,
matter
so much.
because words impact your thoughts, which impact your beliefs, which impact your outcomes. I mean, that's the whole premise of my new book. Did you know I'm writing a new book, by the way?
I did hear that. I'm quite excited about that.
My podcast. Yeah. So anyway, so the words that you use impact your subconscious mind, right?
Yeah, because our subconscious loves the language of visualization and it loves emotion. So if you can exaggerate the emotions and the pictures in your head, that's how we can create new beliefs. And that's how we create things in our life, AKA manifestation, which is that word, but whatever. It literally means to make real. So our emotions, like, think about this, right? If you're scared of something and you're talking negatively about it, what is the emotion inside of you? It contracts your energy. It makes you have probably stomach problems and you just feel like you're like, and you're all balled up. But if you have a positive emotion going towards something, you feel more expansive and open and positive, and words matter. Because if I'm sitting here complaining about something, do you think I'm creating positive emotions around that?
No,
No.
no, no,
I'm sitting here
no.
getting angry or doing whatever. It's like me. Silly.
So it's interesting. I'm glad you talked about one of the first things you do with your clients is you visualize the outcome. That's also one of the first things I do with my clients. And I have this little vision exercise and I have them draw out what 5 years from now, what do you want your life to look like? They draw it out. It depends on the client, but they do a little sketch. And I think you've heard the story that I found an old journal. I found an old journal and I had sketched out this ideal life and all of it matched, and it matched 3 photos that were in my photo field, photo, what is it? Photo reel, whatever, on my phone. And so, and I tell them to get specific. And it's fascinating. Like I remember I was doing this with a group and at a keynote, and this one woman, I hope she's listening. She was mapping out, drawing out what she wants her life to look like. And she wanted to have a grilled cheese truck.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool, right? Grilled cheese food truck. And I said, I just casually walked by her and I said, just one. And the look on her face, she's like, no, I want a lot of them. I'm like, draw out all of these little, food trucks. And I guarantee you that the people in that audience that did that exercise, and I'm going to link, actually, I have it. I'm going to link to the sheet. The people that actually draw that out and do that and keep it somewhere, like where they pull it out maybe once a year, or, some people made it their screensaver because it's fun and it's whimsy and whatever. Guarantee you and that is what their life ends up looking like.
Yeah, because you're giving clear direction to your subconscious mind. Energy follows intention. Intention is the operating instructions.
Yes.
Essentially to your life.
Yep.
And I do it the way I do it with people is I'm putting them in a very relaxed state.
Right.
We're testing a statement. And then I'm like, okay, let's create this. What do you see when this is a reality in your life? What do you see? When this is a reality in your life, what do you hear other people saying about you? And what's one thing you're saying about yourself? When this is a reality in your life, what does it physically feel like to you? Cool. Can you think of any reason that this would be a bad thing to have? Because we want to test that, because there's a belief. If they're like, well, people are going to be jealous, there's going to be trolls, then there's a belief there that we have to also deal with. So we deal with it. But we bring in I think it's funny because we're doing the visual, the audio, and the kinesthetic, is because the subconscious loves that shit. And you're doing the same thing, just in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And Brenda and I often say this. We do the same thing. We just do it very differently. We say the same thing. We just say it differently, which is why I love her podcast. I was saying the other day that when I need to video myself listening to one of Brenda's podcasts, because I'll be going, yep, yes. And I will be going absolutely nuts in my car. It's almost always in my car. Sometimes I play it at home through all my speakers and her voice resonates throughout my house. So let's talk about not your podcast, but you gifted me a hypnosis sleep meditation tool thing. So basically this is an audio file, and I play it. This is so funny. I play it when I want to go to sleep.
Which is where I want you to do it, because
right.
You can't say, oh, I don't have time to do this. Really, you're sleeping.
Right. Well, what I didn't realize, again, it's the attention to detail, Podsters, was that it's intended to put me to sleep, and then it keeps going. And these thoughts and words and statements play literally into my subconscious mind because I'm sleeping. So I didn't realize that. And after about 3 or 4 days of maybe a week of that sleep meditation, I just felt lighter. Like I just felt happier and lighter and just better. I just felt better. I just felt great, like all the time. And it wasn't until, for whatever reason, I couldn't fall asleep. And I'm like, oh, this thing keeps going. It keeps going. And I didn't realize that these subconscious thoughts were being put into my mind, and then my mind was acting on them.
And to be clear, because some people get freaked out when they hear hypnosis, hypnosis is not mind control. I can't make you do anything that you wouldn't want to do. In hypnosis, it is, you are in a deep state of relaxation, which means your conscious mind, the one that's always like, it's out of the way. And your subconscious is taking in the suggestions, and your subconscious mind will get what it needs when it needs it. So it might only take in one thing, like you're confident and you're empowered or whatever. It's designed to be used at bedtime because our subconscious mind will automatically replay the last thing we think about. So what do most people do when they go to bed? They either doom scroll, which that's your subconscious mind.
Not my Podsters.
Or, which is fantastic, or they'll think about
work,
all the things they have to do tomorrow, or all the things that didn't get done today. We want to set your mind up for success. And so when you're in this deeply relaxed state, your mind is actually more aware than you ever are when you're awake. Like your subconscious doesn't sleep. It's always going 24 hours a day, which is why would we not take advantage of this?
I love it. I love it.
Not to mention you'll have the best sleeps of your life. One of my clients calls them his Brenda lullabies. I'm like, okay.
I do. I actually am like, good night, Brenda. And yes, it solved my sleep problem.
Yeah, because you know why? Because your nervous system is completely regulating. And when your nervous system is regulated, your subconscious mind feels safe to open up to new positive suggestions. Also, I can't make you, like going back to that, I can't make you do something you wouldn't normally do. There's this freaking movie on Netflix, and the guy is giving people these commands. He calls them up and then they go like jump in front of traffic or murder people. It doesn't work that way. Unless you as a human being on some level really want to go jump into trap. Like it does, you can't, I can't control you. There's mind control is false.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I think I need to play that. Okay. So back to what's holding people back. So new year, new me. This is the year that I want to change careers. Or nope, this is the year that I want to level up my career. Whatever that may look like. It could be changing careers. It could be going for the promotion. It could be opening your own business. What else would you say people need to do to get their mind in the right place?
They need to actually figure out what that's going to feel like for them. It's not even the thing really that they want. It's the feeling. What is up-leveling your career going to do for you? What's it going to feel like when that actually happens? And start to get in that frame of mind of like, oh man, when I up-level my career, I'm just going to feel so confident, and I'm going to feel unstoppable, and I'm going to feel like I can just do anything. That's what you're after. We're not actually after the end result.
Right.
So get into figure out what is having that desire going to do for you. What's it going to feel like to you? It's going to be exciting. It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be wild. Like just sit and write down all these words. Get into what is it giving to you? Why do you want the thing?
Yep.
Why do you want the thing? Because it's never the thing. It's
never the thing. Nope.
And people who come to me and they're like overachievers and they hit one thing and then they want another thing and then another thing and then another thing, it's because they're not clear on their why. They're just chasing after the dopamine hit of getting a thing. And then they get the thing and they're like, meh, that sucked.
I mean, look at all these people that are driving around in Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and they're miserable humans.
Yeah. I years ago worked for a man who was very wealthy. He owned this marketing agency. He had all the money in the world. I used to think, oh my Lanta, like if, because that was my mindset back then, if I could ever make this amount of money, I'd be so happy. This guy was miserable. He was lonely. He never had relationships. He was angry all the time. I was like, but herein lies the twist. Then I see this and I'm like, man, this guy has all this money and he's miserable and lonely. So then I start forming a belief that if I have all the money, I'm going to be miserable and lonely. So you see how we need to get to the root of where these beliefs come from. People will start working with me and not even realize that at some point their parents maybe made them believe that wealthy people were rude, greedy, and horrible, or sellouts. I come from a very blue collar family. My family, they've all worked very hard. So my belief was you have to work exceptionally hard to even make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started making money, I had the belief that I wasn't going to be loved because they weren't going to accept me because now I was making more money than people in my family have ever made. It was a false belief, but like there's layers. We're like, I heard this the other, I always say we're like onions, but the other day I heard a great one. We are like 7-layer burritos. We have multiple layers of stuff that we have to work through sometimes. And we theoretically are not getting rid of a belief. We're creating new beliefs to support new habits. Core beliefs,
sorry, go ahead.
Core beliefs we don't get rid of them. We change them and create supporting ones. So what can happen is, especially with money beliefs. So if you're working through a money thing and then you deal with it and you're like, oh, I've transformed this belief. New level, new devil. You hit that next level, that belief is probably going to show itself in a different way. But I'm giving you the tools you need to recognize it so you don't get caught in the shit. So you can go, oh, I recognize that belief. And now we deal with it. And it happens to everybody, even like millionaires.
Yeah, I remember in one of your podcast episodes, you said you don't just get rid of the limiting belief, you replace it with something else because your I don't remember if you tied it back to your subconscious mind.
You cannot. So this is what drives me bananas about generic affirmations or power statements, generic mindset work. If you have a core belief, you can't just put something where something already is.
Right.
You can put something to support it, and you can start changing the core belief so that it becomes more of a state of peace and non-attachment, but you're not ever completely getting rid of it. Are there times where we get to a core belief and we do the transformation and you never have to deal with it again? Yep, absolutely. But if it's like a deeply rooted thing, it's probably going to come back in different ways when you're growing.
Yes.
Essentially.
And what I like to say is similar, but not the same. It's a belief. You're not going to get rid of it. You can acknowledge it and work with it. Like,
Yeah.
or say, this is a belief. This is a feeling. Feelings aren't facts. I often say this about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't deserve the seat at the table. Okay, that's a feeling. It's not real. It's not a fact. I'm going to deal with the feeling rather than saying I need to change my core beliefs because that's very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to, this whole thing is really about self-awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Becoming self-aware of like, oh, this is what I believe to be true. This is the behaviors that I'm creating to support this. Like, and most of them tie back to it has to be hard.
So, all right. So it doesn't have to be hard. You said I remember just now you said one of the things Podsters you can do is write out what will it feel like, whatever your thing is, what will it feel like to have that thing, be that thing, do that thing, whatever. Any other like tactical ideas?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
got a ton, guys. Okay. Yep.
We could be here for 8 hours. So when we're creating something, we always want to create as though it's in the present moment. And that really mind fucks people because they're like, well, if I'm sitting here going, I'm a millionaire and you have $5 in your bank account or whatever, your mind is going to not agree. So changing the language you use.
Love it.
So you can say, I'm the type of person that elevates my career easily. I'm the type of person that does this. The second you say, I am the type of person, your subconscious mind looks at that and goes, yeah, we are that type of person. You can also say, I'm in the process of changing my career, pivoting my business, getting healthy, whatever. Because the moment you say, I'm in the process of, it's a present moment statement, your subconscious mind goes, yeah, we are in the process of doing that. And the third one is I'm choosing to feel full of energy right now. I had somebody the other day, she was like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I'm like, how about you tell your subconscious mind, I'm choosing to be full of energy now. Practice that. And she messaged me. She's like, I don't know what kind of witchcraft this is, but like the moment I started saying, I'm choosing this, her subconscious mind and her physiology changed and it started to happen. Because again, subconscious mind goes, oh, this is a choice we're making.
Mm-hmm.
Every second of every day, we get to make a choice. And every second of every day, you get to make a different choice if the choice you made before you don't like it. All the choices, everything you see in your reality right now is based on choices you made back there.
Yep.
And this is how it doesn't have to be hard. All of the choices you're making today, you made a choice to listen to this podcast. That was a great choice, because now we're going to help elevate you to get you to the next phase.
Yep.
And it's like we create in the present moment. Anytime I forget to be grateful for the present moment, I look down at my feet and I remind myself I need to be where my feet are in the present moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that.
It's like we're not worried about what happened before and we're not focused on the future. We're creating as though it's already here. And I know that's hard for some people, which is why I'm the type of person I'm in the process of, I'm choosing to, it's a friggin' game changer.
Yes, I agree. So two things. One, I just want to write this down so I don't forget. I could improve my ability to be in the present moment more.
We all could.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of looking down. I think that's kind of neat. Like, because to
Ask
me,
yourself,
that's
where are my
grounding.
feet?
You're looking
where
at
are
the
my
ground,
feet
right?
right now?
Yeah.
Oh, they're here.
I love that. I really like that. The other thing, so what you're talking about, and you've referred to it a couple times, is acting as if that's your confirmation bias or that'll call in your confirmation bias, which is science.
Yeah, that whole acting as if thing also shifts your energy because you don't actually believe it. You have to believe it, which is where I'm choosing to, I'm in because it negates is the
Right.
word.
That's
Takes
believable.
out the confirmation bias because it's
Right.
like,
Right.
but I'm in the process of doing this.
Right.
I'm in the process of becoming a 7-figure business owner.
Great. Okay.
My subconscious mind's like, sweet.
Right. Bring it on. So your December, so the first episode of every month, Brenda releases mantras. I'm going to call them mantras because
Hey, but I know you hate the word affirmation, and I don't love it because I think of Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live.
I'm smart enough, I'm good enough,
smart
and people
enough,
like
I'm
me.
good
Yes.
enough. So affirmation, if you break it down scientifically, is affirming information.
Okay. So she
So that's all
releases
we're doing.
these affirming information snippets, which I look forward to, and I love them because you can play them on repeat. And one of the ones, or the December's, was something you said that really sticks with me, and you will hear me say this a lot. Energy is currency. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And in terms of your energy, or one's energy, that's your currency. You get to choose who gets it, who you spend it on, who doesn't get it, what you splurge on with your energy, and what you save up for with your energy, right? So talk a little bit about that, because I love that.
Listen, energy is foundational to the work I do with people because it is currency. If you're constantly spending your time with people who drain you, and then you're like, oh, I need to just like hibernate for 2 days, there's a problem there. You're leaking energy. I remember somebody saying every time she did a speaking event, she had to intentionally book 2 weeks off to recover. And I was like,
2 weeks?
what? Yeah. I was like, so you need 2 weeks to recover from speaking in front of like 250 people? Like, that's an energy leak. You're not managing your own energetic hygiene.
Right.
You need to like surround yourself with people who lift you up and inspire you and empower you, not suck the life out of you. When I was in corporate, the last few years, I used to joke that I felt like my soul was being sucked out of me. But then in the last year, because I knew I was leaving, I made the choice to change my perception of it.
Yep.
And I took control of my energy again.
Yep.
They didn't get to take my energy anymore. And I'm finger wagging, right? But they didn't.
Yeah.
And then I started to look at it as a fun experiment. And like I would play with things and be like, okay, if I'm around this person, I feel depleted. So how do I not feel depleted? Oh, right. I prepare myself to be in the space with this person.
Right.
Also, I'm a recovering people pleaser, like so many people. I had to recognize I had to set boundaries with myself, not just other people.
Love.
I had to set boundaries. Like here's a great example of a boundary that I'm setting and my parents don't know yet. But I'll be telling them on the weekend. So at Christmas time, every year since I've been a kid, it's been very hectic. We visit a ton of people, whatever. I'm 49 now. Okay. I've decided that the Christmas Eve visiting of a certain group of people, my boyfriend and I will not be partaking in that one this year because I just don't want to. There are people who we get in the room and all they do is complain. Mm-hmm. They talk about their illnesses, what body parts they've had replaced,
right?
What isn't going right in their life. And I'm not available for that anymore.
Right.
And I don't really even know a lot of these people. We only see them once a year.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not partaking in that one this year. I'm out.
Yeah. It's a game changer when you realize that you get to decide who gets your energy or how you spend your energy. It's a life changer. I'm not, I've been dealing with some health stuff over the past couple of years. I put on a shit ton of weight and I know these particular people, the conversation will be like, oh, well, like what's going on here? Like, it's none of your business. Right.
And two, I just don't need to give you my energy.
No.
I don't care what medication you're on.
No. So you gave me advice once. It was sometimes you can't decide who gets your energy. Sometimes because of commitments. Well, no, sometimes you can't decide who you are around and who you are exposed to. You simply cannot remove yourself from the situation. Or let me rephrase, you're not willing to remove yourself from the situation because of the consequences. So how would you deal with an energy vampire if you have to be in their presence?
You have to limit the exposure. You observe, you don't absorb.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Say it again because I ruined.
You observe the situation, you don't absorb it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people will say to me, wow, you were really quiet. No, I was just observing. I wasn't getting involved. I wasn't giving you my energy. You're just not important to me, which sounds horrible, but the situation is not important enough to me to give you my energy. So I'm just going to observe it instead of letting it affect me.
And you detach. You detach from it, really. Yeah.
The other thing you can do is you create kind of like a pattern interrupter. So if they're going on about something in your mind, you literally just look at it and go, that's interesting. Observing, not observing.
I love it. I love that.
I used to do this. This sounds horrible, but like I used to do this thing. And it's an NLP technique, but whatever. My boss would talk to me and he would talk out of his ass a lot. And so he'd be talking, and in my head, I was imagining that he was a kitten playing with a ball of yarn. And so I was like paying attention to him and I was nodding my head because I'm watching the yarn. But that was what I had to do to start to learn to observe, not absorb. And then I got to the point where I was just like, that's interesting.
I love it. I love it. We have so many. This is so great. So, okay. All right. Hold on. I got to look through my notes here. I'm just so excited to talk to Brenda. You shared a story with me. You shared a success story with me about someone you work with. I think it's a doctor. Do you have a doctor that you work with that you had a cool success story?
A couple of doctors.
Okay. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? Maybe not.
Specifically, what was the success story?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. So Podsters, and Jen will probably edit this out anyway, but Brenda and I will voice text message each other back and forth for like hours. So it was, yeah, I don't remember. I can't remember. I don't remember. So never mind.
It might have been, I've had one in specific, one that I can think of, and it actually had to do more with like the toxic relationship she was in. She didn't recognize it. That comes down to really becoming aware of the beliefs we're holding on to and why we're staying in certain situations. She was in a relationship with like a narcissist. And so she started to recognize patterns. I feel like Jen needs to edit this part out because it's a weird story.
Do you not want to share it?
I don't know, because she's still kind of in it a little bit.
Okay, then don't. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
edit that part.
Okay, Jen, it's out. Yeah, it was something about, you know what? I can't remember. I can't remember. I can't remember. So while you're editing that out, Jen, Brenda, do you want me to make sure I cover anything else before we wrap? I'm looking at my notes. Hold on.
I
Person
feel
you're
like we've got a
becoming,
lot.
surface level subconscious, not hard, faking, outrun shadows, need more than an action plan, trapped emotional energy, stories, belief stories. Okay, no, I mean, I get,
This
no,
is good. I feel like this is gonna be such a good episode.
I think it's gonna be so great. Okay, so Jen, we are coming back in 3, 2, 1. So Brenda, you have given us so many tidbits, I'm gonna call them, practical calls to action, things we can all do. What do you wish? What do you want besides? It doesn't have to be hard because I know you and I know that's what you're going to say. What do you want the podsters to know about living a limitless life? What do you want them to know?
I want them to know that like it's okay to dream bigger and it's okay to want more for yourself. And that doesn't make you selfish in any way, shape, or form. And I want them to know that when they allow themselves to dream bigger, amazing things start to happen because your subconscious starts opening you up to possibilities and potentials you didn't even know were there. Or maybe they were there, but you couldn't see them. That, like, to me, allowing yourself to want more for yourself is the number one thing. And it's not, well, once my kids are out of the house, I'll do this. Once this happens, once that happens. No, allow yourself to want more now. And it's not a bad thing. And it doesn't make you selfish.
And it's not going to be hard.
No, it changes everything.
It does change everything. It changes everything. I think that's an awesome way to stop.
I agree.
Awesome place to stop. So Brenda is amazing. You need to follow her. All of the links are in all of the things are in all of the places.
You know what else? I'm also going to give you a link to, I have this release and reset meditation.
You do?
Yeah.
Why don't I have it?
I don't know. I'll give it to you. But it's 15 minutes. You
Yep.
can also listen to it as you're going to bed. But it leads you through this practice of compassion, gratitude, and like releasing the shit that doesn't serve you. And it's really powerful.
Love. Okay,
I'll
so
do
we're going to
that.
put that in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Podsters, I can't think of a better way to start the year. I have been looking forward to this episode for months. Brenda, I am so grateful that you are in my life, my friend. By the way, Podsters, for those of you who don't know, I met Brenda because I sent her a DM on Instagram, right?
Yeah. And we hit it off. We were like two peas in a pod.
I didn't know her. So that is all the more reason, guys. Reach out, make the call, send the DM, leave the comment.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. Peace out, Podsters.